Happy Sunday, everybody, and
Happy
welcome
Sunday.
to the Femme Spot.
Thank you for tuning in, guys. How's everyone doing?
Good, how are you?
It's finally warming up in New York,
Yay.
thank God, because it's been brutal.
It has.
With the snow and everything.
Hopefully we don't get a little surprise because it's been cold, but the sun's been out.
I know, I felt the sun on my skin today, and I was like, this is so refreshing.
I know.
I just can't wait for
I can't wait for the
As you can
glow
see,
to come back.
Yes.
They're trying to pretend
Bring
like
it-
it's spring already with the spring colors.
We're trying to attract
Yes. Come on, spring, hurry up.
But anyways, today we have a lot of interesting topics for you guys. A lot has been going on this week. It's been a busy week. So let's start with what happened yesterday, which was Selma's 50th anniversary.
Okay, yeah.
And the president, he gave a speech on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And there were about 100 people from Congress there.
Yeah.
George W. Bush was there. The First Lady was there. He gave a very inspirational speech, which I really liked, because in the speech he talked about us being together as Americans, not making it a race issue, just all of us getting together, Black, whites, Latinos, Asians, and even with religions, Jews, Catholic, Muslims, all of us getting together to bring about more change. Because one thing he did talk about was the progression of our country since Selma. You know, a lot of people try to say, you know, things haven't really changed. And one of the things he pointed out right away was, I regret to agree with that. You know, he doesn't agree with that. We have come far as a country.
Yeah.
You know, and just talking about the story of Selma, how the march started with 600 people and it ended up with about 25,000 people from Selma to Montgomery. And Congressman John Lewis was also there yesterday, and he also gave a speech. And one thing he said, like, I never would have imagined that as we were marching across, this would happen 50 years later, where we now have the first African-American president of our country, you know. And also, one thing the president discussed in his speech was the word "we." It's been a part of our history. And when President Johnson signed the Votes Writing Act, before that, he gave a speech and he said, "We shall overcome." You know, so it's a word that has been a part of our history and brings us all together, regardless of our race, regardless of where we come from, and makes us one whole, you know. So what do you guys, how do you feel about that, you know?
I mean, that's how it should have been to begin with. That was what this country was founded on. That's the principles that we're supposed to stand by. So it shouldn't be a surprise that we is what we should be striving for, and not just, you know, trying to separate class and women. And,
exactly,
you know,
exactly. Because we talked about that last week, where it's like, you know, with the wedge in politics, and most people want to say, I'm a Republican, when it comes to certain issues, we're American. We want the best for
regardless
this country.
of where you came from or what your, you know, personal upbringing or your, you know, your race or whatever it is, you're still American. You're
I
America.
actually just posted something like that on the page also.
On Facebook?
On Facebook, saying that, you know, we all have different religions, but at the same time, we all can still come together and love each other around those means. So it's kind of the same thing. We shall all overcome. It's about being able to stay hopeful, you know, not losing hope. So.
Exactly. It was a very inspirational speech, that I will say.
Definitely.
Aside from the issues with Congress, which he called them out, and he said, you know, Congress needs to get together and we need to make this change as a whole, because he discussed the Ferguson report as well, which I'm sure you guys heard throughout the week. And just some quick facts about that report. Ferguson is a town of 21,000 and 67% of African American. And among the findings in the report, from 2012 to 2014, 85% of the people subject to vehicle stops by Ferguson police were African American. 90% of those who received citation were Black, and 93% of the people arrested were Black as well. These are alarming numbers, if you ask me, because I mean, there's a clear issue. And after the speech, one of the reporters tried to interview the chief of Ferguson, the chief of police, and he just wouldn't answer the questions.
Of course he's not going to answer
and
the questions.
for him to, I mean, I don't know what he's even going to say. I can't even predict, but you knew there was an issue going on. You know the arrests that are coming in. As the chief, you know what's happening. You know what I mean? So it's going to be very hard for him to try to turn, you know, a blind eye and say, it wasn't a race issue.
You know what? I think he's just hoping that America does what it always does. Let's just, you know, let a couple of weeks go by. This is going to be the story of, you know, the hour, and then it fades off into black. And
I don't think that's gonna happen.
I don't think that's happening.
No.
That's actually what
and that's
he
why
was-
he didn't have anything to say, because it's like, well, I wasn't prepared to actually have to answer for what it is that I was doing.
Exactly.
They feel like it's going to be brushed over.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what we were discussing earlier about how they have to renew. Why do we have to renew laws? You know, sometimes why isn't it just once you come up with this bill,
Just to leave it
make
the way
this
it
so-
is.
Exactly, leave it the way it is. But question that, why do we have to renew it?
Yeah.
Because
I
everything
mean,
changes. People
sometimes-
changes.
Yes, and I think with this Ferguson report, I won't say this is what's happening across America, like in every, you know, but it's not an isolated incident. And that's just, I appreciate that this is being brought out to light.
Yeah.
You know, but let's use this and say, okay, how can we come up with a solution for what's going on? They should be held accountable for things like this. You know, should there be regulations? Some people were discussing that there should be another branch of government that can oversee all police departments, which I don't think people will feel comfortable with that because of the whole big government issue. But, you know, I think they should report on how many arrests are being made. So there should be somewhere where everyone can see, okay, this town is doing this town is doing this. Let's go and try to find a solution.
See,
you
my
know?
problem now is, now that we know that Ferguson, Missouri is one of, you know, that we know of the, you know, many cities that police are taking advantage of their power or whatever it is, why not look into the other places where the Trayvon Martins and, you know, the rest of the children of the world are being shot down? Look into those police departments. I'm sure you'll find the same type of situation.
I'm sure that this will cause that trickle effect and
I'm hoping it
start
does.
bringing more attention to the issues like that. But the next thing I want to discuss with you guys is the word feminism. It's you know, Salma Hayek was in the news this week because last year she said, "I am not a feminist. If men were going through the things women were going through today, I would be fighting for them with just as much passion. I believe in equality." And she changed her mind. And now she says, "I am a feminist because I love women and I'm ready to fight for women. I am a feminist because I am proud to be a woman, and I am passionate about making the world a better place for women." She just, you know, keeps going on about why she is a feminist. So my issue with this is I feel like it's just another label to add on to what we already have going on. If you don't need to have the label of a feminist to do what you do.
You don't.
If you get up and you go to work every day and you do the things you need to do to better yourself for socially, economically equal rights, why does it have to be a feminist? What are men called when they want to fight for something equally? And how about the men that want to fight for our rights as well? What are they called
feminists?
as well? Are they feminists? Like, why this word again?
Again,
like,
it's separating. We need to separate the women from the men. We need to separate
Women
the
from
black
women.
from the whites,
Yeah.
from the Spanish. We need to separate the police from the regular people. Stop it.
I feel like
Exactly.
they made the word
Just
so
to-
that they could have their own group where they're able to speak their own word. People notice them as individuals so that they can
Looking for
get their word
spotlight.
out. Exactly. But then again, that's contradicting your point of making everybody equal and coming together.
Exactly. And, you know, piggybacking off the president's speech, you know, it's not about dividing, it's not about you're on this side and I'm on this side. We don't need to call ourselves feminists. We're working. We're doing what we need to do to bring about change.
It's hard enough to be a
without
woman.
that.
Without
Exactly.
adding
So
on, I'm a feminist, and
it's just these labels that are constantly put on. And, you know, when you interview certain celebrities and you're, are you a feminist? They're probably afraid to stand on one side or the other.
You'll
so
definitely be judged if you say I'm a feminist.
exactly.
and you'll be judged if you say you're not.
Exactly. For example, Lana Del Rey last year said it. She's like, I'm not a feminist. I don't believe in that. And she was scrutinized for that. You know what I mean? So it's just again,
something else to pick at.
And we want to know your thoughts. Is it necessary for that? You know, do we need to have a label to fight for something? You know what I mean? Do we need to be called feminists in order to say that we want equality as women?
And if that's the case, are we going to create labels for everything that people are fighting for?
Exactly.
Because you'll be there for days.
Exactly.
Coming up with just names.
Exactly. So the next thing is, you know, I'm sure you guys heard the controversy about the white and gold dress, which I still think is white and gold.
I still think it's white and gold.
Did you think it was black and blue or white and gold?
Well, to be honest, you guys, I was saying I don't know what world I'm from. I didn't see any black or any white. I saw light blue and brown, like a kind of brownish gold. Like it wasn't
She
gold.
saw a mixture
well, you
too.
know what? I'm sure you weren't the only one. It was just
I felt like I was the
so
only one.
much. Yeah, and I wrote an article on it because it's so interesting to see. the power we have in the internet and social media, and how you tweet one, it was on Tumblr, and it just becomes this overnight sensation that you have CNN, E! News, everybody talking about the color of this dress. I just wish people did that for other things.
And that's what I was gonna say. It's just sad that this is what CNN is picking up a black.
Yes.
I know,
They did.
it's crazy when
But you're not picking up what's going on in Paris and what's
But
going
they
on.
do pick that up, but it's interesting.
What the new agenda is, and in bold letters, the new the lineup is that what color is this dress?
Yes.
When there's so many other
Things we could talk
issues
about.
going on.
Yes, but
A singer actually posted it on first. A singer posted it, and so I guess because she has so many views, it went viral.
But the reason I bring up the dress is because the South African branch of the Salvation Army tweeted a picture of the dress, and I quote, and with a tweet saying, "Why is it so hard to see black and blue? 1 in 6 women are victims of abuse." Which I thought was beautiful that they used something like that to bring about,
and it was so simply put.
Exactly, very simply put, which is you need that nowadays. Keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
So because it's the South African branch that tweeted this, I want to just shed light on some global facts about things like that. So according to a 2013 global review of available data, 35% of women worldwide have experienced either physical and or sexual intimate partner violence or non-partner sexual violence. Now, some national studies show that up to 70% of women have experienced physical and or sexual violence in their lifetime from an intimate partner, right? It is estimated that all women killed in 2012, almost half were killed by their intimate partners or family members.
That's crazy.
Worldwide, more than 700 million women alive today were married as children, which means below the age of 18.
Crazy.
More than 1 in 3 or some 250 million were married before 15. Now, child brides are unable to effectively negotiate safer sex, so they run the risk of being vulnerable to transmitted infections, including HIV and early pregnancy. Now, in the United States, 83% of girls in the grades from 8 to 11, so age 12 to 16, have experienced some form of sexual harassment in public schools. So these are just some facts with abuse, sexual harassment, and to shed light with what's going on around the world. Here we might not see it as much, or I haven't seen it, where a 15-year-old is married.
You're not gonna find that.
They're actually forced into marriage now. It's because of religion and because of their culture, but they cry when their families or their mothers trade them to their husbands, and sometimes just for money to help their family.
Yeah.
It's a sad thing that's going on.
It is a sad thing that's going on, and I really like that they tweeted that because the fact that all these women are subject to abuse by their partners, and they won't report this. And I've experienced, working at the district attorney's office where women would come in and want to report it, change their mind, and then leave it as is, and they'll continue that relationship because for whatever reason, whether it be financial reasons or, there's a whole bunch of them, but I think it's good for us to address this, and we are the leaders. Again, piggybacking what the president said, the youth, we have the power to bring about change. We have the power to bring about, and shed light on issues like this. You know what I mean? So what do you guys think about it?
I mean, I know for, victims of domestic violence or, sexual assault, it's hard. And it's not like the world or even police sometimes make it any easier for them to talk about it. So making light of it, in a sense, using the dress just to kind of bring the conversation up and then, pushing back with the seriousness of the conversation. I think that was nice.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Sometimes it's hard, whether it be with law enforcement or, for these women to report it. And I've seen it myself. So it's tough. It's tough when you see it happen and you see that they're like, okay, no, I'm not going to do it.
And then it makes it worse.
How can you push? You don't want to victimize the victim twice.
But then it makes it worse for the people who cry wolf, who have never been in situations like that. So when they act, someone who actually has been assaulted or whatever comes in, they have a real story to tell or a real complaint to file. No one wants to believe them, or they're being shunned or looked at like, I don't really know if I believe what it is that you're. It's harder for people to talk about it.
It is.
Definitely.
It's difficult.
Especially internationally, where husbands are throwing acid on their wives when they don't obey them, or when they actually try to make attempts to run away. And like you
Where they
said,
have no
Candy,
rights,
they
yeah.
might not have places to go. They might be living their own, and then they turn to prostitution because that's the only they'll rather prostitute themselves than stay in the house with their husband where they're getting beat every day and forced to do major chores and being miserable.
Yeah.
It is tough, but now we're going to lighten things up because we covered 3 heavy topics. So what do you have for us today?
Well,